So that's how the paints have settled, and you can see it spreads out quite a bit when you leave it to settle. So this is how it blew out, and it was a bit different to what I had imagined. I decided there wasn't enough colour on this side, so I added another stripe of colour on this side. And then I thought, well, now actually I need some more colour on that side. There was too much white. Well, I don't know. I managed to blow off all the white this time. So and it wasn't in the shapes that I wanted, the bloom shapes. But I must have used either I used my hairdryer without the nozzle on, or I used my other hairdryer. I don't remember how I got those shapes. But it doesn't matter, really. It's not critical. The thing is, I'm going to shape the horse while the paint is wet, and then I'll add on white to give it a silvery grey white look once it's dry. And yeah, each time you do it in acrylic pour, it's different. You never know what's going to turn out, so it's interesting. This is how the paint has settled, but it's still too wet. I've waited a long time, but it's still too wet. Because if I make a mark, I'm just going to upset the pattern, but if I make a mark, well, I'd rather use something much thinner, like the back of my palette knife. If I make a mark, okay, it's staying a little while, so maybe a little while longer. So I'm trying to bring my painting, my horse diagram as close to me as possible, but without sticking in the paint under the table. So I started drawing on the horse because it almost looks like the shape of a horse's head there, so I want to use that. And I'm using the back of the end of a plastic palette knife. Just need to remember to wipe it off in between each movement, otherwise you just drag paint along. So I'm going to put the head up there, the body coming down here, the leg. Oh, it looks like that paint is going back, going down. Yes, back leg is quite long, and hopefully I'll be able to shape it a bit better than I did the other one. When I used the paintbrush in the other one, and it didn't come out as nicely as I wanted, but I mean it was okay. But you know, the horse's legs have got all these joints and bones and hooves, and they're not just straight, and then they're quite muscular, and you've got to include that somehow. So I need to do, that will be the front of this back leg there, and in that joint there. Oh, I hope I don't lose these lines, because if I have to do them again, then, you know, that's when I start losing my way anyway, because I just can't see the other lines. And so that will be the hoof there. Let's hope that line stays. And then, already I can't see it. This is the underbelly there, joining to that line. And then this leg is kind of pulled up and around and down. And then this becomes a hoof, so it should be a lot shorter than the other leg. It is short, but it's not as short as I wanted it to be. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down. This is a bit too much with the camera in my hand. Well, that's the outline, and the paint has settled quite a bit here, but not so much down here. These shapes are disappearing again. But I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to just leave it. I know more or less now where I want the horse to be, and I'm not I'm putting in his jawline and all that. I'm going to leave that detail there. I have made his eyes and the sides of his nostrils and his mane. I didn't do the hair coming out of there. And I've just left his tail very roughly. So I'm going to leave it to dry, and the rest I will have to sketch on with the dark color, the darkest color, and then go over that in white. So I mean, his neck should be a lot longer. So I don't know what happened here. It should come down, even though he is pulling up in a different direction. And then his rear should go up a bit there. So today I'm going to be adding the colour for the outline of this horse. And I love his face. It's a nice strong face. I don't know why I got this blob of blue right in the centre there. It's funny how that worked. I must have lifted up blue to pour over the edge somewhere and dropped a drop of it, or it just formed naturally, I don't know, but I guess I can cover it up. So I've got white, and I've got pearlescent blue and pearlescent violet, and I'm going to use them in different places to see how that just helps to distinguish the horse from the water. If it doesn't work very well with the pearlescent paints, then I'll have to just stick to the white. And the first layer never does stick. I mean, I like it because I won't cover the whole horse with it. I'll just use it to make that distinction between the outside and the inside of the horse, and leave the rest of the colours in the horse because they're such pretty colours. There's another almost little dot, and I would hate to lose all these lovely mixtures of colours. There's silver in there, there's blue, there's mauve, there's a dark blue, the yellow blue, so it really would be a pity to just cover them up. So I've added on the blue up there on his nose, and it does look like it's shining, nice and shiny, so it's shining through and along the edges here. So I'm thinking I'm going to put some here as well in his mane, just to add a nice glossy glow. And then I'll maybe use some of the violet in other places, just so it's a mixture. There's some lines there, maybe this will cover the line. White in between, once this is dried, which will be very quick. These pearlescent paints dry very quickly. You'll still see the markings, but that is the idea. Right, I'm going to drop my paints. So I'll maybe put some down here on his tail. Well, it's certainly turning out interestingly. I've used the pearlescent mauve around the sides of his face, and I used the blue inside his eyes and the front of his nose and on his legs, on his mane, but I think I'm going to add some white around the edges just to show that he's splashing in the water, but I need to thin it out. So I'm adding the white, and then I'm really thinning it out with a lot of water so that it's not big blobs of white. There's already a lot of white which looks like water, looks like foam, but I just need to make a distinction between the horse and the water. So where I've wiped it away and there isn't much of a distinction, where I've brushed it away very quickly, I'm going to just put a bit more. Obviously I do want to keep the colour, but I do also want to make the distinction between the horse and the water. So like here, this colour is all quite plain, so I'm not going to destroy too much of the lovely colour, but it will just give some definition. I did want his hooves to kind of just be visible under the under the water. But obviously I don't want it as thick as that, so I'll have to come back. So essentially I was able to just draw a very, well, to put down a little paint around the edges, and then with a lot of water or just a very wet brush, drag it away. So just to leave a clear sort of outline of where the horse ends and the water begins. Over his feet I've left a bit more to just show that his feet are covered by the water. And then I've done the same around the rest of his legs and his back, just to show that he is surrounded by the water, but without destroying the colours too much. So there's all this is all part of the painting, and this is all, there's lots of silver there, lots of cells and lacing, and it's very pretty. And his face looks fine, his eyes look fine, they're clearly defined. So I think it's an interesting painting. It's not the white horse that I envisaged, but I mean, one has to adapt as things evolve, as the painting evolves. So the next one will have a lot more white in it. But I like this painting. It's a fantasy painting of a horse galloping in the water, and somebody is sure to like such a colourful horse. So after the painting dried, I saw some things that I didn't like. One of them is that this leg is just too thick, and I did make it thinner, but it seems like it blended with the sea and it wasn't clear. So what I would have preferred is for the body to be like that, and this to be the ocean. So I may have to put some glue back there to make that around. And I also don't like this line. I prefer it to be like that. And then I think he's just disproportionate altogether somehow. I'm going to have to make this a bit narrower, so the water will be splashing over him over there. I guess I've painted him at an awkward angle, and I just really didn't see how it turned out when I added in the shape and then added in the paint. I think the horse looks much more pleasing now. I made a lot of changes, narrowed his legs and changed the tail, made it darker, changed his mane, made the legs narrow here. But now I'm going to just put a bit of water over them. If it's dry, it's dry. Just to show, that he's splashing in the water. I didn't like his face at all. It had become very square. I don't know, that's not how I drew it on, but maybe the paint moved. So just paint over it lightly. So that is my fantastical fantasy horse galloping in the sea. You can see the foam splashing all around him. I've kept most of the colours in the water, other than where I've covered them with a bit of the white foam. I've kept most of the colours inside his body from the blowout, except where I've highlighted them with some of the pearlescent colours, which you can see the mauve there and the blue there. So not as much of it showing. Around the edges there you can see it, and in his neck and his face. I guess, if I look at it, if I tilt my head to the side, I can see the blue there. So I don't know how much shows on the video or on the camera, but if you're in front of the painting, then you see the sheen from the pearlescent paints. They are interesting. I think they're very pretty, but really I just wanted to incorporate the colours of the ocean into the horse and at the same time keep them in the ocean. And I managed to do that with the dark ocean, the deep ocean, and then the foam around him. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was meaningful to someone or some people who may like this kind of painting. So please like and comment, and bye for now.